Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers from
Okay, let's go.
And welcome to GGG
Hi,
Live.
Jonathan.
Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of what's coming next for Path of Exile 2. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so you'll be able to claim your Sun Priest's Incineration rare finisher effect by following the instructions below. Now with that out of the way, let's get started. It's time to give you a teaser of what's coming in Path of Exile 2, the Third Edict.
Let's see it.
Parry! I have called you here to save our people, to save our way. Over the ages, we have known pain like no other, but we endured.
This dude has to be the act boss, brother, right?
Now, outsiders dishonor our shores, and we have stood by, doing nothing.
For sure it is the act boss.
Hear my voice, ancestors. Show us your strength. Show us the true way. I understand.
100% it is the act boss. Those have to be bosses and they look cool as fuck, dude. The blood there. Okay, these bosses are looking cool. Some of them we knew, some of them we didn't. Like this one is a new one.
The true Lakura Makoi will rise.
Act 4, nice, love it. 3 interlude acts. The leaks were real. Obviously the leaks were real. They look very real, so yes. Support Gem Overhaul, massive skill reward. What is that skill with those swirlies? That is one of the best new things, the unique support gems. Okay, expansion to the tree, sprinting, I predicted that. New trade system, let's go! Rise of the Abyssal. Okay, love it, fucking love it. I like the Abyss mechanic in POE1. I think these monsters are cool. The aesthetic is cool, the thematic. And I think it is one of the mechanics from POE1 that translates well to POE2. The movement and all of that. Breach sucks. Breach should have never made it to POE2.
Now, as you can see, there's a lot going on, and we have a lot to reveal today. We'll start by going over Act 4, the next chapter in the Path of Exile 2 storyline. But that's not all. There's also 3 new interlude acts to get you to endgame, which means we're removing cruel difficulty too. After that, we'll be going through the massive changes to characters.
Cruel difficulty.
I'm super excited to show you how I've overhauled the entire support gem system, added new skills, and yes, there are buffs. Next, we'll go over the Rise of the Abyssal, this season's exclusive league mechanic, and talk about the new rewards, crafting systems, areas, and bosses that it adds. After that, it's on to changes we're making to the endgame. Then it's time to talk about items, crafting.
Every time I hear new bosses, I am happy.
We'll then go over our new supporter packs and finish up with a live
number
Q&A
one
section
thing the
where
game
ZD
needed.
will ask Path of Exile 2's game directors, myself and Mark, your questions from Twitch chat. And after that, at 4 PM Pacific, hatch notes. They're not quite complete, but they should give you some nice details to chew on. We've got a lot to cover today, but first, another announcement. When the Third Edict launches on the 29th, we'll be having a free weekend for Path of Exile 2. That's right, Path of Exile 2 will be free for the first time without requiring an early access key. The free weekend will end on September the 1st, so you'll have plenty of time to give the game a try.
This is awesome.
All right, let's get started with Act 4. The story continues from the end of Act 3. Doryani has agreed to help you find an ancient weapon that can be used against corruption, the instrument of the Third Edict. The weapon was broken in ages past, but he believes that the pieces may be found in the Karui archipelago, the home of the Karui tribes. You will need to journey to Kingsmarch, hire a ship, and set sail. When you open the map, you can choose to sail anywhere you like. Act 4 is completely non-linear, and you can visit the islands in any order you choose.
Nice.
Will you visit the pristine beaches of Whakapanu Island? The Karui whisper of a curse that afflicts all who travel there. Perhaps it's related to the weapon you seek. Or maybe you will visit the volcanic shores of the Isle of Kin. The Kin have been more restless recently, mining for sulfite and driven by some dark force. Perhaps you will choose to consult with one of the local Karui tribes. Their ancient wisdom could hold clues to finding the Third Edict. No matter where you choose to go, you will fight dangerous beasts, find fabulous treasures,
That is the part that I like.
and battle incredible bosses.
I like this one even more.
Come, Yama sees your soul.
Yama the White. Okay.
There are 8 islands to discover, each teeming with its own flora and fauna. Act 4 contains over 100 new monster types, 16 new areas, 12 new bosses, and plenty of other interesting encounters. There's a huge amount to show.
Did you
We're not
see
gonna spoil
that,
too much here.
brother?
We want to give you a chance to
I
discover
would.
it all for yourself. But what happens after Act 4? Well, until now you had to repeat the entire campaign again before you could face the endgame. But after adding Act 4, the game is far too long to make you do that. We needed something else to do in between the end of Act 4 and the endgame. So what else could we do? Add 3 new mini-acts, of course, and we're calling them the Interludes. The Interludes are a set of 3 temporary side stories that will be included in the game until
All my
Act 5 is
homies
released.
hate
It will
crew.
take you to level 65 where the endgame can begin. The first interlude sends you on a journey back to Ogham. Renly has been leading the efforts to rebuild Ogham village after the defeat of Count Geonor, but there's a new danger afoot. The nearby town of Holton is surrounded by an impenetrable darkness, and each night their corrupted townfolk emerge to raid the local farmlands. You'll discover new areas and new bosses.
That looks
You'll
cool.
need to find your way through the darkness, uncover the source of corruption,
Soon you will serve our master.
and defeat it.
Those are bosses,
I
right?
shall dance.
Hey, they look cool.
And that's just the first
aesthetically.
The second interlude will have you return to the Vasteri Desert, where Asala has been given a sacred duty. When the skies align, the gifting of water requires a chosen Sekima to meet with the Selkari, guardians of the sacred water, but they're nowhere to be found. You will need to track down the Selkari, find those responsible for disrupting the gifting, fight even more new bosses, discover the
That
secrets
one
of the
looks cool
ancient
too.
ritual, discover new locations, and ultimately help Asala carry out her sacred duty. Now for Interlude 3. As Royal Thaumaturge of the Vaal, Doryani had plans within plans to save his people from the cataclysm perpetuated by Atzeri's lust for power.
Dorian
One
is
such
such a
plan
cool
involved sealing a
character,
group of
brother.
willing Vaal deep in the
I
great
like
mountain
that
vaults where the home of
character a
the
lot.
Asmeri, deep enough to survive the cataclysm. Even though thousands of years have passed, he believes that their descendants may still live, and may be key to defeating the beast. The journey up the mountain will be dangerous. New foes stand in your way. And the further up the mountain you venture, the colder it will become.
This is like getting a new act,
what
brother.
Kings
The
of
3
Ice
interludes is like getting
And
another
into the
act.
vault itself. Who can
Let's
say
be
what
honest,
you
it
will
is
find
just
with
that
it?
it's not the story and
The
they will
interludes
be
are 6 to
removed.
7 areas each, and generally include 4
But it
boss
feels
fights as
like
well.
getting another act.
When you
dude.
put that together with Act 4, that adds up to 35 new areas in the campaign and 24
Look at
new
that.
bosses.
24 bosses.
It's worth making clear that the interludes are temporary. When Act 5 and 6 are added, the interludes will be going away. These are side stories after all, but don't worry, the bosses and areas that make up the interlude are all part of the endgame. We're not just going to throw them away. And with that, we don't need cruel difficulty anymore. We do know
Nice.
that it was a pretty big chore to have to play through the campaign multiple times on each character, and this was a huge reason that the campaign could feel like a bit of a slog when playing through again. But we do
They
also have
use the
another new
S
feature to
word.
address that particular concern as well. So let's talk about sprinting.
I predicted
In
this,
Zero
by the
Trio, when
way.
you hold down the dodge roll button, your character will go into a sprint after they finish the roll. This is available on all character classes, and there's no limitation on how long you can sprint
Since
for.
December, I
The primary
suggested
purpose of
this.
this feature is to make navigating areas faster when out of combat. Because of that, if you do take a hit while sprinting, you'll fall to the ground. The best idea is to use a skill when you see monsters. That'll break you out of the sprint so you can engage with no danger. If you do need to run away from monsters, just hold spacebar. You won't be vulnerable during the roll, and you're faster while sprinting than basically any monster in the game, allowing you to retreat from combat.
This is the part that I
Sprint
am
is a
worried
pretty
about.
significant change to POE2's gameplay. What I like most about it is that we can accelerate the pace of the game for those who want that, without having to compromise on POE2's more visceral combat systems.
And I don't want you
Okay,
to
so
compromise
that's the
on
new
that
extensions to
because
the
that is the
campaign,
best
but
thing
there's a
about
whole giant league
POE2.
to play through as well. I'll leave that to Mark to talk about later. And that's because what I want to talk about now is the new stuff for your characters. And probably one of
Okay.
the biggest new systems here is with the support gems. Now, support gems are one of the most interesting elements to creating a build. They're what enables so many interesting mechanics and different ways to play. But POE2's support gem system has just never been quite right. One of the major issues is the
Since the
limitation
leaks
of only
were
having one
right,
support gem of each
he's
type
going
in
to
your
talk
character.
about the
We didn't want builds to just become using the same
multiple
5
of the
most
same
powerful swords
support
in every
gems.
skill. The problem with this design, though, is that it's actually working against using multiple skills in your build.
Yeah.
If you can only use each support gem on one skill, it means that you're encouraged to go all in on that one ability. And we want to encourage you to combo your abilities, something needed to change. So with that in
really
mind, we've
want to
removed the
encourage
restriction
you
of
to
having one of
combo
each
your
support gem per
abilities.
character. You can now use as many copies as you like. This should drastically increase the amount of possible builds and increase the amount of skill diversity. There are a lot of potential builds that suffered from the previous restriction. For example, a poison build previously couldn't add poison to more than one skill. They couldn't use stacking
If
poison
they
on more
don't
than one skill
buff
either.
the game
This severely
itself, like
limited
the
your ability to combo
monsters,
with anything outside of the
it
specifically
is
designed
probably
poison
going to be a
archetype.
lot
But now you can.
easy in the end game.
Many
Unless they
utility skills
buff,
previously
they
couldn't scale
buff
for
the
in-game
monsters and
because
all
the supports
and
that
the
would make them
bosses.
scale were more useful to use in other skills. You would never speed up killing Palm with martial tempo, when you would much rather use it on your primary skill instead. There are more examples like this all over the place. In addition to that, though, we thought there wasn't enough feeling of progression in the
This
supports.
same screenshot was leaked.
There were only 3 tiers of supports, and many of the most important ones were given out at tier 1. Also, there were no strict upgrades, meaning that upgrading supports when you ran out of sockets required quite a lot of thinking. In order to solve these issues, we now also have multiple levels of many supports as you go through the game.
Nice.
For
I
example,
like this, by the
double
way.
barrel support gives you an extra bolt, but at the cost
It
of 30%
gives you another
less reload
axis
speed.
of
At
progression.
tier 2, the penalty gets lowered to 20%. But then at tier 3, the support gem gets something new. It now reloads automatically when you heavy stun an enemy. In some cases, the highest tiers might work a little differently, and you'll have to decide if you like the upgrade or not, depending on your build. For example, rapid casting. The first couple of levels gives 15, then 20% increased cast speed. But then at tier 3, it changes to a new approach. For each different spell you cast in the last 8 seconds, you get 10% increased cast speed, which could be a pretty big bonus if you use a lot of different spells. So that's pretty good for upgrades through the campaign, but we wanted to add a little more spice to the endgame for supports too. And that's where our new system, Lineage Supports, comes in. You can think of these like unique items, but for supports. There are supports that are only available at endgame, but they're much more powerful. Like Ratha's Assault. It's an upgraded version of Double Barrel that reloads your skill as you dodge roll, as well as increasing the number of bolts it can hold. But it does mean that it's the only way you can reload the skill now. Now, unlike regular supports, you can't find these through the uncut support gem.
I love this.
Just
This
like
is
unique items,
one of
many
the
of these can be
coolest
found from
things
specific bosses.
in the whole thing, dude. Unique support gems.
And there's a ton of the
I
regular
have to
drop pool
imagine
too.
that the strongest ones are going to be really expensive
Some
and
of them are
chase
fairly rare.
items.
Others fairly common. Some of them are build defining. Others are just straight up power upgrades. All in all, there's around 40 lineage supports being added
And they
throughout
look cool,
the
the
endgame,
icons.
so there's a lot of power to find out there. Now,
They look cool
the new
too.
support gems are certainly going to open up a lot of builds, but of course we have a huge range of improvements to individual character classes as well. As well as adding new skills, we had a big focus on buffing existing skills so that they can scale well into the endgame. There's a huge amount to cover here, so we're not going to discuss everything. We're just going to quick fire through some of the coolest changes. We wanted to make cold a more useful element on the Ranger, so we've expanded the cold tools available.
Yeah, because everybody
As well as
just
increasing
uses
its range,
lightning.
Escape Shot now
But
creates
not
fragments of
only
ice
in
whenever it hits
the
the ground.
Ranger, in every
These fragments explode
class.
after a short time, making it still good at killing groups of enemies. But not only that, we added an ice fragment support that creates more of them when killing frozen enemies. And a new buff skill called Ice Tip Arrows that allows all your arrows to create ice fragments. This already gives
Let's
players
roll.
to Rangers wanting to use ice. But to take further advantage of the ice fragments,
That one is cool.
has been upgraded to shoot
That
additional
ability is
cold
cool.
arrows towards every fragment, giving you a nuke-like ability.
Okay, okay.
We've also modified Snipe to consume frozen from enemies, dealing a huge amount more damage, giving you a nice,
Snipe
nice
was
single target
useless.
option. And something you might notice about this is that the bonus is a lot higher against bosses. This is actually a change you'll see throughout the entire game. Since it's a lot harder to freeze a boss, you should get a bigger reward for it.
Okay, I like that.
Another theme you'll see throughout the game is making movement feel better. Toxic Growth is a skill that was pretty cool.
This
but a
is
bit
awesome.
annoying
I
to
like
use
this
for doing
ability, but the jump was too
it. Now
awkward.
Toxic Growth is a range skill, so you can spam it more easily. And we've also added a new poison skill while we were at it, called Toxic Domain. It creates a small area around you that makes all your attacks create toxic growth pustules, but attached to monsters. Another skill that was annoying to use was Electrocuting Arrow. It's now just a regular
Lightning
arrow,
arrows
easy to
and
use.
bullshit like that.
But it also means you can support it with projectile supports. And it now also has area of effect, making it a tool for more than just single target, and allowing
Look
it to
at that
scale into the
bullshit,
endgame.
dude.
We also added a new spirit reservation called Mirage Archer.
This one
is
is
a meta
cool.
skill that
This
allows
one
you
is
to create
cool.
shadowy clones of yourself to use a skill of your choice.
Okay, okay.
Of course, one of the other big problems the Ranger had was survivability. Evasion was the weakest of the 3 defenses, and we wanted to change that. Currently, evasion doesn't evade all types of hits in the game, so you're still vulnerable to things like slams or unblockable attacks. To make evasion characters more tanky, we're adding a new mechanic called Deflect.
I
Unlike
think
evasion,
this is the
Deflect works
admission
on
that they
everything.
can't
And
fix
if you successfully
evasion.
deflect the hit, you take 40% less damage. Items
And
can
they
now
are
give you a
adding
mod that
something
gives you
on
some
top
amount
of it.
deflection based on your evasion.
And now agility characters are going to
And
be
there's a bunch
tanky
of it
as
available in the
fuck.
passive tree too.
And who
Deflection
is
is rolled in addition
still
to
getting
evasion.
fucked
So
in
this
the
is an
ass?
upgrade for regular hits
Armor
too.
characters.
And unlike evasion, there's no maximum chance. You can reach 100% deflect against all hits if you spec into it enough. Of course, this is a buff that helps all dex characters, so the mercenary and the monk, but especially the huntress are seeing big defense boosts from this as well.
Don't tell me they buffed armor. They
Speaking
didn't,
of defensive
because if you
mechanics,
know
let's
how
talk
the
about block and parry.
calculation works,
Now, one of the big
the armor
concerns on
thing
the release
is
of the
not a
Huntress was
buff.
parry feeling unreliable. One of the big reasons for this is there's a lot of hits that are not blockable, and thus not parryable either. So a huge balance change we're making is that now everything is blockable, except for
Unless they
specifically
change the
unblockable red flag
calculation
skills
too.
that bosses use. This makes parry much more reliable. And not only that, but to
Parry
make block and
sucks. Nobody
nice
wants to
use,
parry,
you
brother.
now also move faster than before while using these abilities. This is a massive buff of passive block as well. So to counter that, we did have to lower the max passive block a bit, but overall you should feel much safer. Fire skills on the Warrior were not really cutting the mustard. So we decided we needed to upgrade a bunch
True.
of them, but also add some more as well.
Okay,
Let's start with
give
the
me
bow.
love to the Warrior.
Volcanic
Give me
fission
love.
branches into multiple fissures, giving it much more clearing potential.
Nice.
We've also added a new skill called Forge Hammer. This skill throws a molten hammer that does a slam at a distance.
That looks good.
You can
I
recall the
like
hammer back by
that.
using the skill again if you like. But the cooler thing
I
to do
like
is
that
use a war
ability,
cry.
guys.
Using a war cry makes the hammer explode, making a bunch of volcanic fissures around. Volcanic fissures
Okay, that
re-trigger when you
is
slam
the
them,
swill.
so it's a great
Okay,
skill to
okay.
make a flaming arena to fight a boss.
Nice. Hey, I like this, brother.
We also buffed Perfect Strike to have a much larger area of effect.
Perfect
changed
Strike
Molten
was
Blast
good
to
and now it is
almost force you to
better.
move forward.
Okay, Molten Blast now
Feels
moves
a lot better to
backwards
use
instead
now.
of forward.
The skill now has massively
Cool,
boosted
cool.
chance to ignite monsters as well. And you're going to want to ignite monsters due to a new glory skill called Ancestral Cry. Ancestral Cry charges up with glory by igniting monsters, invoking King Kaum's favor. After you do, use it to channel Kaum's ancestral power. Every attack will be ancestrally boosted with fire. Your very steps will explode, triggering volcanic fissures. And
That
molten
looks
balls will
cool.
rock
We
your
have to
attack.
see if it is good in practice, but visually
Warrior
it is
shield skills are
awesome.
another area we wanted to improve. Now that we've got sprint, we actually don't need to have a cooldown on shield charge anymore. And now also does more damage the further away you are when you use it.
Okay, so it can be a damaging
Shield wall
ability.
got significantly upgraded AoE. Also, you can
Okay.
shield charge right through it to trigger all the walls.
They
We
really
also
want you
added
to
a new
combo
shield
your
wall.
abilities, guys.
Fortifying Cry gives you a
Dude.
defensive buff, but it also
Combo
builds
your
up charge and shield that
abilities.
empowers your other
He
shield
wants you
skills.
to combo your abilities. Why are
And
you
Magic
like
Barrier
this,
now doesn't
brother?
require timing in order to
Don't
use.
be like
Just wait for it to
that,
charge up
dude.
and
Combo
block.
your abilities, brother. I know you like one
Seismic
bottom
Cry now
builds
stunts
or
enemies that
no
are trying to
bottom
stun.
builds. But he really wants you to
And we
combo
changed
your
the summon
abilities,
interaction with
brother.
Armor
Don't be like
Break. And it also
that.
gives a sundered armor debuff that makes enemies take 40% extra physical damage. Great for bosses. Ancestral Warrior Totem's undergone some pretty significant changes too. We wanted the skill to feel more like using an ultimate. That summoning an ancestor to fight for you was a big deal. So we've changed this totem to require 3 endurance charge to summon, and massively buffed its damage. It also now scales your weapon damage too.
They wanted to give a use to
Since
endurance
there's no
charges
rota anymore,
because
if
nobody
you build it
cared
on
about
generating
endurance
charges, you can
charges.
summon an entire forest of totems.
Okay, okay.
In order to make that easier, we added some new sources of endurance charges. There's now a support to
Okay,
perfect
I
strike
like
generate
this.
charges,
I like this.
and a support for generating endurance charges from heavy stuns as well. Speaking of totems, we wanted to upgrade the Warbringer. Among the other changes we made to this class,
Did you
Answer
fix
Call
this
now gives an
boss?
extra totem,
This
and a
boss
spirit
is
that's been
bugged as
generally buffed
fuck.
in many ways. Use it with your limitless ancestral warrior forest to make an army of Karui that would make Tukahama proud.
Okay,
We've also
okay.
merged the Great Wolf Howl and Warcaller's Bellow support, so you can get all
This
the
was
benefits
leaked,
with
by the
one
way.
point.
That they got it into one point.
And
I like
encased in
that.
Jade no longer removes the Jade when getting hit, making a much better defense. Next up, let's talk about accuracy. Accuracy was always intended to be something that warriors didn't need to care about very much so long as they're in close combat. But unfortunately, that's not currently the case. This was particularly annoying with skills like Bone Shatter, which you certainly don't want to mess
Yes.
with.
Yes.
So we significantly buffed your chance to hit at close ranges when you don't have much accuracy. Warriors shouldn't require
Even
any accuracy
without
investment in
attack,
order to hit
you
with close
missed
range
a lot.
attacks now. We also wanted to improve armor. Now, one of the major weaknesses of armor is the inability to defend against elemental damage. In order to mitigate
This
this,
is what
we're
I'm
adding a lot more
saying.
of the stat
If
that
you
allows your
know
armor to
how
defend
that
against elemental
works,
damage.
this
It's now
is an
available in
avoid.
items and in a lot more places on the passive tree.
Unless they fix the formula, this is not
One of
a
the most
buff.
important improvements we've made in 030 is to declunk the action and flow of shooting crossbows. You can now reload crossbows without any movement penalty. But not only that, all skills that can be used while moving now slow you for a shorter amount of time. This change benefits everyone, not just crossbow skills. With both of these changes put together, the run and gun playstyle feels much better.
Nice.
It's hard
I
to
like
explain how important
crossbows.
this change is for the feel of the class. The Mercenary is also a good chance to talk about how we're rebalancing to make comboing skills much better. Take Shock, for example. It buffs damage and lasts 4 seconds right now, but that isn't really giving you enough time to take advantage of it. If you're going to add a lightning skill into a build that otherwise wouldn't use one, we need to make mechanics like this much better. So we've increased shock duration on monsters to last 8 seconds. And skills like Plasma Blast, which are intended to be good at shocking enemies,
That
now
took a
increase the
long
damage
time.
bonus by a lot
You
more.
don't see that as a problem. It took like
We'll find
5
changes like
seconds
this
to
all around the
explode.
game. Chill now lasts 8 seconds, giving you more of a reason to weave in cold damage. Freezing skills are better at freezing. Burning skills need to cause burns that last longer. But making skills like Permafrost Bolts and Incendiary Shot double down on how they're supposed to be used, it makes using them in your build alongside other skills much more likely. We're also making sure to buff specific combos too. The freeze explosions from frag rounds now chain to nearby enemies. And using high velocity rounds with Armor Break will now fragment the opponent's armor. This causes monsters to take a portion of high velocity rounds damage with every subsequent hit, even tiny pellets. So that means following it with a shotgun blast is way more effective.
That
Now,
was
there's a lot
cool.
more buffs to crossbow skills, but for now, I'm just going to talk about the new one we added, the Mortar Cannon.
Okay, this
This one
was
lets you
leaked.
socket any
This is
grenade
so
skill,
cool, dude.
And using it will summon a cannon which
Let me
loads
see
and fires the
actually
grenade you choose.
in movement. I love it, and it is a literal cannon, dude.
Another issue
I
with
love it.
Mercenary
I
were
love
banners.
it.
They were just not very good, so we're doing a big
Banners
upgrade
suck
to it.
dick.
They now
Nobody
last longer,
likes
don't disappear
banners.
when moving out of them, and we removed
Okay,
the
that
barrel
is a
mechanic.
good change.
They now
Of
just give a much
course.
more consistent and stronger buff, and you can use them when you get enough glory. On Witch, one of the main focuses was making various minion types more useful to use together.
Who the fuck cares
Melee
about
minions in
Witch and
particular were just
minions?
not
Fuck
great
that.
compared to
Nobody
ranged
cares, dude. This
As
is
a
pussy
starting point, we
behavior.
just straight up removed the requirement for minions to have accuracy. Attack minions now always hit, which makes them way better. Brutes got some good numeric buffs, but we also added a new command skill where they do a war cry that intimidates enemies and detonates any frozen monsters and allies around you in a big cold explosion.
I don't
We've
give a
also
fuck
changed the
about
Frost Mage's
Witch and
command
minions,
skills with
guys.
the ability that adds ice armor to your other minions, adding a layer of defense. And it makes them deal cold damage back to the
I
attacker
am
as well.
sorry, dude.
The
I
ice
am
armor
sorry.
also makes the minion count as frozen, so the Brute's war cry can detonate them too. Unearth was changed to work on corpses
If
of your
you
dead
like it,
skeletons,
cool.
allowing you to summon the minions more
Not
easily
my
in boss
jam.
fights. And they also got a new jump ability, allowing them to get into combat faster. Ray's Spectre was also feeling pretty weak for the spirit cost they have. To be honest, we were a little afraid of these when we first balanced them. We've both decreased the spirit cost for a large range of monsters, and we've significantly increased Spectre damage too. They should feel a lot more impactful. There's also a lot of new spellcaster weapons with newer cult skills. But I'll just talk about one of them that I thought was particularly cool.
That is cool, the Reap
The Reaping
ability.
Staff is actually a wicked scythe that gives you a new ability called Reap.
But that
When
is
an
for
enemy
the
low on
weapon.
life, you can
It
dash forward and rake
isn't
enemies with the scythe.
only
the
for
cold
the
instantly heal you.
Witch. It is a weapon.
It can also inflict critical weakness
You
on an
can use it
instant.
with a Warrior if you
Now,
want.
There's a lot of balance changes in the Witch's Ascendancy classes, but I'll just talk about two of them for now. On the Blood Mage, you were previously required to spend your first points on Sangomancy, which really was supposed to be the downside for being able to access the powerful abilities on the rest of the class. In order to make picking the Blood Mage a better early option, we made Sangomancy free, unlocking the power of the rest of the class immediately. On the Infernalist, the Demon form wasn't something people were really using because you lost your weapon stats while transformed. Well, you no longer do, so it's a much better option now. On the Monk, the Wind skills needed a big upgrade for sure. Staggering Palm can now stack up its duration if you use the skill multiple times in a row, so you can keep the effect of all your skills throwing up wind much more easily.
I like this. I like
Wind
this.
Blast had the purpose of building up to dazing an enemy, but
I
dazing
like
just
the
wasn't
wind
worth the wait.
abilities, but they were
Now
too
it just
fucking
dazes on
weak.
hit, meaning a single Wind Blast will make all your skills stun enemies more easily. Following up with Vaulting Impact on a dazed enemy previously did a bunch
I
of
like
stuff.
that they are both in
Now
the
it
wind.
allows you to break your enemy's stance.
That
When their
makes
stance
me
is
want to
broken,
play a
following
wind
up with a
monk,
fast
brother.
attack
I
will
like
do
the
way
wind
more damage.
abilities, but they sucked.
A cool build that certain people always enjoyed in POE1 was hand-to-hand combat, but until now we just
I am
couldn't
doing
have a
the
real way to
punch
make it viable.
challenge, the Rocky challenge,
That
dude.
changes now. The Monk, as a true
Okay,
martial
Holo
artist, now has the
Panther
ability
Nick,
to
that
learn
makes
the
the
Hollow
Rocky
Palm
challenge
technique,
too easy.
a keystone that lets you use all quarterstaff skills while unarmed. All quarterstaff attacks now have a special unarmed version, and you get further bonuses to all your attacks from stacking Energy Shield and Evasion on your character.
That is cheating in the Rocky challenge because it makes it too
A
easy.
new keystone we also added to the Monk section of the tree is Walker of the Wilds. This changes Mana Leech to work with elemental damage instead of physical, which is pretty useful for all those elemental attacks the Monk has, but it works well for the Ranger too. Now, one of the least used Ascendancy classes in the game is the Acolyte of Chayula, so we knew we needed to make some changes here. One of the key things we had to do was make the Chaos
Chayula
damage that the Acolyte can
sucks!
do much more useful. So we've added a new skill, allowing Chaos damage to ignite, shock, chill, and freeze.
Hey,
embracing the
that
elemental
wind
prowess of the monk
ability
in a
looks
truly
cool. It is
chaotic
like
fashion.
a weird wind, right?
In addition, he can make all of his Chaos damage leech. And we've buffed Into the Breach and Embrace the Darkness by moving the effects of the 4-point
Still
nodes into
playing
the base
Pac-Man
skills.
in 2025 with the monk.
He also gains a new notable, Grasp of the Void, which leaves void illusions behind you as you dodge roll. If they're killed, they do massive explosions of darkness, dealing damage to everything in sight.
Hey, that
let's
looks
talk
cool,
about
like a
sorcerer
black
skills.
hole. I like
One
that.
of the things we wanted to improve on the Sorc is the ability to use multiple elements together. more
Sorcerers,
effectively.
who the fuck cares about sorcerers,
Now,
mages,
this might seem
wizards,
small, but
pussy
one of the things pushing
behavior.
me towards using a single element is debuffs like Elemental Curses, which lower resistances of a single element. In order to fix that, we're making quite a lot of game-wide changes to these kinds of mechanics to broaden what they apply to. So for example, there's no longer 3 curses for fire, ice, and lightning. Instead, there's just a single curse that buffs all 3 at the same time.
Okay,
And
okay,
things like
I
Frost
like
damage
that.
cold exposure now give elemental exposure. You can use it to buff any of your other skills. We also wanted to make switching between different weapon sets smoother. So you
They
can use
really
different
want you
elemental
to use
saves more
several
effectively.
abilities.
To
Dude.
do that, we've removed the weapon switch time.
They
It now happens
really
instantly.
want you.
This
Guys,
applies
combo
game-wide
your
too.
skills, brother. GG
We
wants you
didn't
to
just want to
combo the
stop there.
skills. Why are
We
you
wanted
like
to add
this?
some
dude?
specific mechanics that work between different elements.
Don't
And
be
that's where
like
elemental
that,
infusions
dude.
come in. Certain skills can now drop elemental infusions. For example, when a frost bomb explodes, it leaves behind a cold infusion on the ground. After picking it up, you can spend it on one of any number of different skills to transform how they work. Spark will create a nova of cold infused projectiles.
So, brother,
Ice level will leave a
this
chill layer on the
mechanic
ground.
requires a lot of work.
And we also
Because
added
you
a new
have
low
to
level skill that
interact
fires ice
every
shards.
element with
Use it
every
cold infusion,
skill.
though, and the ice shards
Like,
will
that is
explode.
a lot of setup, dude.
Orb of Storms now generates lightning infusions when you custom
Unless
spells.
not every skill gets
that's also, by
interacts
the
with
way,
this
not just
system,
lightning.
right?
Once you
but
have one,
if
you
they
could
do,
cast a
or
lightning
not
flame
the
orb,
skill,
which adds both fire
spells,
and lightning damage to
the
all the projectiles
sorcerer's
that pass through it.
spells. It is still a lot of
Or
work.
power up
If you
Invoke
have
Fusel
20
lightning,
spells and
which will
each of
generate
them
arcs to nearby enemies
has
that
a
do fire
variety
hits.
for each element, it is a lot of work, dude.
Or maybe go lightning on lightning with arc. This skill is now projectile, and by infusing it, you can go full Palpatine.
That looks cool, brother. Full Palpatine.
Get fire
Okay,
infusions by
okay.
blowing
I
up
like
bosses with
that.
wooden
Hey,
bomb.
Fox
Then
Sorcerers,
use it
well,
with
that
Combat
sounds
to summon a
cool,
giant
dude.
fire meteor from the sky. Or use it with Firestorm, which transforms it from a small area into a much bigger one. Firestorm is unique in that it can be infused by multiple different elements at the
Okay,
same time.
okay.
Add an
It
ice
is looking
infusion to
cool,
rain
guys.
down
For
ice
the
at the same
people that
time as the
enjoy
fire.
sorcerers, this is good news.
And add lightning to add
So I
deadly
am happy
strikes from
for
the
you
heavens into
guys.
the mix.
But Fox Sorcerers.
Or use it with all three to generate a storm that is truly apocalyptic.
Okay, okay.
Cold Snap has been simply turned into Snap. Previously, you could use it to shatter ice, but now it works to detonate all of the different elemental ailments and makes them leave behind infusions. And just
Dude,
like how
this
you
is
could
a whole
previously
new
use it on
fucking
Frostbolt,
system.
You can now also use it on Orb of Storms and Solar Orb to detonate those as well.
This is
Which
insane,
means you can create
dude.
many infusions at once.
This requires a
You
lot
also have
of
a Spirit
fucking
Reservation
work.
skill and a support gem to help generate them too.
Insane, dude.
On the passive tree, we've added quite a few new keystones to the Sorceress section. Here are a couple of examples. The Black Flame Covenant keystone converts your fire spells to chaos and causes your ignites to deal chaos
What is
damage.
going to happen with the ring that does
Your fire
that?
spells and ignites will also
There
turn
is a
purple.
ring that does that, right? The fire is purple. That is so
The
fucking
Ritual
nice, dude.
Cadence keystone
So
causes your
fucking
invocation
nice.
skills to trigger more times. It makes them trigger periodically over a long
What is going to
duration
happen
instead
to
of
the
one.
ring that
Except for those
gives you
auto blows.
chaos damage, the fire to chaos?
Now, in addition to
Now
skill
that is
changes, we've
useless.
added a lot more options.
Or maybe
for
it has
passive
something
for each
different
class.
that I don't remember.
Overall, there are more than 100 new notables on the tree, usually around 20 per class, along with smaller clusters as well.
I would get
Check out
that
the
just
old
to get
version.
my fire purple.
And here's the new version. It's a lot more dense, and there's more interesting nodes than
Hey,
before.
dude, you can see
Now,
the
we
difference.
probably can't go through too many of these in the live stream,
You can
so
see
we'll
the
just show you
difference
one
for
from each
sure.
class's area of the tree. We
It
tried
was
to be
a
a lot
tree
more
so
thematic
that we
with the
can
new
start
nodes. So,
going
for example,
to
the
path of
Molten One's
building.
gift.
Yeah.
It lets the benefit of armor break apply to your fire damage. Or how about Last Stand, which gives you lots of stats as your situation becomes more and more desperate. A lot of these have themes aligning with ascendancy classes. Like for the Gemling Legionnaire, for example, you have crystallized immunities which makes you immune to different status ailments depending on which support gem color you have socketed the most. Another ascendancy class aligned notable is Sanguimatic Rituals. It allows arcane surges to generate life instead of mana, unlocking that support gem to be used with the Blood Mage Ascendancy. In the Sorc
Okay,
area, you'll
okay.
find these Archon nodes that allow you to convert all of your elemental damage to a specific element. You become a Lightning Archon when you spend enough mana, after which all your skills will be converted to lightning, and you will do extra lightning damage as well. We have ones for cold and fire too, with different triggers. Here's another cool one. Elemental
Bro,
Practitioner
they
gives crit
reward the
bonuses
whole
if you've triggered a
fucking
skill
check for
recently,
sorcerers.
while also making crits
Sorcerers
generate
are
more
eating
triggers.
good this league.
Or maybe you'd like the Great Boar. It gives you a reason to stack dexterity to make you tougher, giving a bonus to life and stun threshold.
That is a
Or the
good
Cunning
note.
Fox.
That is a
It straight
good
up gives you
fucking
5%
note, dude.
quality to all your gems. Now, another major change is attribute requirements. We felt like players probably had a few too many nodes and attributes and not enough in interesting passives, so we lowered attribute requirements by 25% across the board. That means you'll
Nice,
have
I
more points to
love
spend on
this
interesting
one.
notables rather than just needing to allocate more strength, dex, and int. Now, there are way more changes than just these. These are just some of the cooler ones we wanted to show off, but I'd say that's just about enough for now. We're not even half done yet. So I think it's time that we talk about the League, the rise of the Abyssal. And to do that, I'd like to hand things over to Mark.
As you
Okay,
just
Mark,
saw,
let's
even
go.
though there are major changes to the campaign for this update, we want to make sure that every time you come back for an expansion, each area feels different with something extra going on. It is really important to make sure your experience when returning between expansions is fresh and filled with new content. And the way we did this
So
was
far,
through
I am
leagues.
surprised.
Every
I am
expansion we make
impressed.
has a
This
league,
is a lot.
which not only has a fresh economy, but also has new content exclusively available in that league. So, let's delve into
That
the
is
details of
important.
what
If you
Path
want to
of
do the
Exile 2's
Abyssal
first
stuff,
official league is bringing
you
to the
have
table.
to play the league. The
The Abyssal
standard
are a
stuff
race that have
doesn't
mastery
have
of forbidden
At
magics
least not
and
for now.
necromancy. They were thought to be extinct, but have merely been biding their time underground.
That monster
You
looks cool.
first
It has
encounter
to be
signs
a
of the
pinnacle
Abyssal in Clearfield,
boss, right?
where you
for
discover that
for
during the
Abyss.
night, weaker members of the Undead Legion have been attacking the encampment. The townsfolk require your help to investigate where the monsters are coming from and put a stop to their attacks.
Out there, ancient creatures, lurking beneath
Okay,
the
okay.
As you proceed through Rayclast, you'll find fissures in the earth connected to larger pits. The monsters normally inhabiting the area are being affected by it, harmed by it even, having their souls eaten to strengthen the Abyssal underground. As you defeat the monsters, the fissure closes and Abyssal emerge, angered by you killing their food. Once all those fissures have been sealed, the pit activates.
I think this
and more
fits
Abyssal
Path of
pour
Exile
out.
2, brother. I like it.
This
I
is
like
where
it.
the larger
And the
more
monsters are
dangerous
cool.
monsters reveal themselves, as hordes of Abyss will spew out from the pit to take your soul. If you kill a magic pack, then magic Abyssal arise. If you kill a rare, then a rare monster will emerge from the pit, having absorbed some or all of its modifiers for itself. This means the monsters
How
emerging will
unbalanced do
generally
you
be more
think this
difficult
mechanic will
and
be,
more
and the
rewarding,
monsters
as
are going
each
to be
modifier
dangerous
gets
and
better
kill you in
rewards.
3 hits?
If
Let's
you're
see
able
what
to kill them all,
happens.
the pit will seal shut. As each pit is closed, it reveals a potential reward. Abyssal troves will rise up out of the pits, allowing you to
Okay, I
get some
love
epic
it.
loot.
Love it. A
Areas
read.
often contain many
Gives
pits
you a read.
with many fissures, and the amount goes up as you progress through the game, getting more intense. It doesn't stop there. When monster mods are absorbed, they have a chance to become infused with the Dark Necromancy, transforming them into Abyssal modifiers. For example, you defeat this monster with the Mana Siphoner modifier. Their soul is eaten by the pit, and a rare monster emerges. The Mana Siphoner modifier has transformed into Soul Siphoner, and is now amplified in danger and reward.
What does the Soul Siphoner do? What
Abyssal
does
pits
Soul
also
Siphon
interact with
do?
other monsters and mechanics. If you defeat a Rogue Exile that's near one, it'll be
I
revived
love
as a
Rogue
Lich
Exiles,
Born
dude.
that has multiple Abyssal modifiers.
Okay,
Lich
okay.
Born Exiles even have their own unique jewel they can drop, if you are lucky enough to encounter and kill them.
I like this. I like this.
If an Abyss spawns near a boss, killing it will summon a gigantic Giga Larvae creature.
I like that
Monsters
too. I
imprisoned
like
in
that
essences
too.
near Abyssal pits are affected by the Abyss too. They
This
will come
whole
with an
Abyssal thing, I am
additional new
loving
essence
it, guys.
item
I am
that can
loving
be
it
used to
for
craft your
now.
items.
Maybe when
So,
actually
that's your
playing,
bread
they
and
are
butter
going
of the
to
Abyssal
kill me and I
Kill
complain.
surface-dwelling monsters, kill the emerging Abyssal, close the fissures, overcome pit encounters, and
But
reap
as
the
a
rewards.
first view anything
There's
here,
a lot more to this league,
I
however.
am liking it a lot.
As you complete Abysses, you can find ancient pieces of bone, preserved from the remains of fallen Lichborn. These are one of the many rewards for your mission to seal the pits. You can use this on a rare item to imbue it with Abyssal magic, adding a special hidden modifier to your item. But how do you reveal it? In Act 2 of the
Veiled
campaign, you'll
affixes
encounter
from
a new
POE1.
area.
Now they are Abyssal affixes.
This area
Or
is overrun by the
Secreted
Abyssal
affixes.
and the Lost Men. After clearing through this area, you'll find the Well of Souls, a giant cavity with a massive vortex of souls
This looks
swirling
cool
beneath
as
you.
fuck. This looks like the
So how do you reveal the mods on your Abyssal infused
Hercules
items?
Underworld.
Obviously, just throw them
When
in,
Hades
right?
take-
Yes, that's exactly what you do.
the
Before throwing
Hercules
it in, you are given the
girlfriend.
option of how you want to transform it, in the form of a choice of 3
The
different
3
modifiers.
choices. Veiled affixes.
Once you've chosen your desired mod, throw it in, where it will absorb the power of the souls, and the ominous creature will then retrieve
Okay,
it
more
for you.
crafting. People wanted crafting.
These
That is
modifiers
crafting.
can be ones from the core mod pool, all the way through to specialized modifiers that cannot normally appear on
Okay,
items.
okay. The
During the
animation is
campaign,
cool.
you can use it as a way to more easily add useful existing mods, but during the endgame, there is a whole set of new and powerful mods you can add to your items.
I can
Like
work
this
with
mod for
this. I can work
crossbows
with
that
this.
allows you to place an additional ballista totem.
Okay.
Or this one that adds spirit to your staff.
That is OP as fuck. 60
Or
speed.
this one that allows you to generate more combo with your quarterstaff skills.
Okay, okay, not
And
bad.
speaking of endgame, you can also use the system to craft waystones. With a preserved vertebrae fused into your waystones, you can get some new modifiers that
You
push
need a
difficulty
specific
and
one
rewards
for
to
the
new
waystone.
heights.
Okay.
Here are some examples of those mods. You always get a choice of 3, so you can avoid anything you don't think your character is capable of. With this modifier, the natural inhabitants of the area are all spawned near abysses. And there are up to
You
9
can only have
additional
one
abyssal
of
pits
them,
in the
so
area,
you can't
making
go
it just a
for
full-on
several
abyss
of them on the
walkers.
same waystone. Okay.
Or this one, which causes the final abyssal pit in the area to always result in a boss encounter. Be it either
I
one
like that.
underground
I want
or
to
one
fight
that
bosses.
emerges out.
Give me bosses.
There are dozens of these waystone modifiers in total you can get from this crafting. That covers the new crafting mechanic. So what's left? Well, we talked about how when closing pits you can get abyssal troves, but sometimes when closing an abyss, you'll reveal an underground cavern that leads to the abyssal depths. After jumping into the depths, you'll find an abyssal city, swarming with legions of the undead.
That is what I like.
When
That is what I
underground,
like.
every single rare abyssal enemy will have an abyssal modifier. And at the end
Love
of the
it,
dungeon,
love it.
you'll even find a rare with a more powerful Lichborn modifier. Once you're able to defeat this powerful rare, you can also find some nice rewards. Aside from the entire area being valuable due to the abyssal modifiers on the monsters, it has its own specific drops too. One example is a set of Lineage Supports that can rarely
Okay.
be found in these depths, like Kurgle's Leash. This support empowers both you and your minions when you command them, granting unholy
Who the
might to you
fuck
both.
cares about minions?
Another depth-specific outcome is a set of omen-like items that amplify
New
your abyssal
omens?
crafting.
Can roll the options
Additionally,
once.
we're
okay.
adding some new socketables that can drop from the abyssal depths. Take Ullaman's Gaze, which can be socketed into your armor. These are a bit special in that you can only have one equipped at a time,
You can
but
only
give some
have one,
pretty
okay.
powerful effects. Think of them as almost a unique socketable for your equipment.
Parry the
In the
enemies. Who the
endgame,
fuck cares
where you
about
can still
parry?
find depths, you also start to find a different type of underground chamber. In these areas, you'll find an ancient spire. A
I told
device
you that
being
was
used
a
by
boss.
commanders of the Abyssal factions to plunge Rayclast into a lightless void. Your goal is simple. Kill this commander and destroy the spire.
Okay.
There are 4 bosses in the Abyss League, and there are some pretty cool uniques available from them. An
There
example
are
is
other
this
3
belt,
that we haven't
Darkness
seen.
Enthroned. It has 2 sockets. But hold on, socketables don't work on belts. Well, this belt has a special mod that allows it to count as a different slot for the purpose of socketables.
Like, similar to the Abyssal
one, for example,
sockets in
counts as a
POE1,
helmet.
but changing
I
it to
kind of want
POE2.
one
I
that
like
counts as
it.
a body armor. I wonder how rare that one
And
is.
yes, we need more sockets
You can also find this
because
unique
of all
jewel,
the socketables
Undying
we have.
Fate.
So I like
This
this.
jewel
I like
transforms
it.
part of your passive skill tree into an abyssal version. And has
Oh,
multiple
timeless
depths.
Jules, brother! Why
The
did
deeper
you
it
even
goes,
do this?
the more of your passive tree is affected, allowing you to
Yeah,
fulfill your fantasy of
why,
becoming
brother?
part Abyssal
Timeless
Lich.
Jules suck dick.
Now,
Nobody
the
likes
last thing that Abyssal
timeless
commanders can
Jules,
drop is a
brother.
finger of the Lich. But what use do you have with a random
Full
undead
max
finger?
invitation.
Well, the next time you
Fullback is
return
the
to the Well
pinnacle
of
boss,
Souls,
of course.
with the finger in your inventory, your character will almost feel compelled. To do what, though, you might ask? To jump in. The items you threw in came back more powerful, right? So what's the worst that could happen? Well, you will just have to find that one out for yourself.
This looks cool, guys. Let's
Along
be
with the
honest. That
introduction of
looks
Act 4
awesome.
and the Interlude, we will be adding 25 new in-game maps. These maps will contain all the new monsters and bosses we're adding, improving variety
Okay,
and giving you
okay.
opportunities to experience the new boss fights many times. Let's take a look at some examples. Rock Pools is a map where you explore a shallow rocky coastline, surrounded by coral and filled with sirens. At the end is a giant Goblin King boss, ready to eat sulfite and squish you like a bug.
He's playing with people like dolls, brother.
Holton is an Ezomite township which has seen better days. Explore and clear the township to find a gothic, Reaper-like boss, with the ability to manipulate storms and fry you with both lightning and wither you with chaos.
That is a cool boss.
Given some of the new bosses added are a bit more epic, such as the Act boss and final bosses of each interlude part, it would be a bit of a waste to just use them as regular map bosses.
Yes, it would.
Instead, we'll be adding some new mechanics to the Atlas that use them. These start appearing pretty fast into the endgame and will help bridge the gap until you do your pinnacle bosses.
Okay, I
In
like
the
it.
desert biome, you can encounter a wild sandstorm. 3 maps around the sandstorm contain a device you must activate. Upon doing this, the sandstorm's magic is disrupted, revealing the map inside and allowing you to access it and find the cause.
If we don't know which
This
maps they
presents
are,
itself in
this
the
can
form
be
of a
annoying
boss,
to do.
similar to
Because
the
you will
existing
go
Citadel
and do
bosses.
every map until you do the
This
3
boss
things.
is a Faradin Swordmaster, who has been
But the
blessed with
boss
the power
looks
of
cool.
a time gem, allowing him to take his swordsmanship to the next level by replicating himself, maneuvering rapidly, and severing the fabric of time itself with his powerful slashes. In the water
That
biome,
looks like a
you'll
cool
encounter
boss.
a giant maelstrom, where one of the maps surrounding the water biome connects to it, but the connection is obscured. You must run the maps nearby, hoping to find a beacon, which will remove the maelstrom and reveal the connection to that map.
It is also random. The two
Another
random,
example
GG,
is
make
this
it more
vile vault in the
deterministic.
mountain biome. But how do we get inside? Running the adjacent maps to it will yield a key, which you can then use to gain access to this vault. Or, you could just trade for one, I guess.
This is
Use
better.
the key to
Trading
dispel
for one
the
is
powerful
better.
force
dude.
field surrounding it,
Faster.
leading to the Val Elite and their rewards inside. These all contain Uber versions of the Act 4 boss, and the bosses at the end of each part of the interlude. And each have their own exclusive drop pool of new Lineage Supports, which, as Jonathan spoke about earlier, are powerful support gems that modify your skills in pretty crazy ways. As an example of a Lineage support which can come from the Faradin Swordmaster mentioned earlier, we have Guru Khan's Resolve, which causes your critical strikes to fork, but requires some mobility on your part to properly
Okay,
enable it.
okay.
From the boss sealed in the Val Vault, we have
Just make it
Baquate's
so
Pact,
that it is not
which
a pain in
supports
the
your
ass to
war
farm
cries,
these bosses
causing
and I
them to
will be
inflict
happy.
massive amounts
If
of
it is
corrupted blood
possible to
at the
just
cost of your
farm
own
these
life.
bosses, I
Additionally,
will be a happy
some maps
clam.
can now spawn summoning circles, a room resembling an Ezomite henge. Activating this
I
henge
like
will
this.
spawn bosses.
I
It's as simple as
love
that.
this.
We'll also be making changes to how affixes and waystones work. As the current prefixes equals good, suffixes equals bad, iteration isn't quite hitting the mark. We tried something new here in Path of Exile 2, but after seeing the feedback, we decided we actually liked what we had in Path of Exile 1 more. Like Path of Exile 1, each affix will now be both difficult and rewarding.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
Waystone mods now grant an increase to the number of waystones dropped, and an additional specific upside attached to it. This means as you roll your map, they will continue to get more difficult and more rewarding, and allow you to customize the difficulty and rewards of your maps better. For example, the Frostbitten mod, which causes enemies to deal cold damage, also increases the rarity of items dropped as its upside. Whereas the Of Venom suffix modifier, which causes enemies to poison on hit, has the upside of granting increased pack size. Some maps will end up having a lot of rarity,
I like it.
some a lot of pack size, and others will just have a mixture of everything. Due to now having
Remember
more
that
modifiers
if you
granting
go
difficulty,
hard as fuck,
we will of course be
zero
reducing the
revives.
difficulty
You
per
die,
modifier
you
to
lose the
account for
map.
this. So, that's your Atlas, maps, and Waystones. But what about Breach, Ritual, Pinnacle content, and others of the sort? We're making some changes around this too. The first change is that you'll now be able to invest 2 points into your specific League Atlas trees before having to run the Pinnacle content. There will be a specific objective for each type of content which grants you those points. For example, in the case of Delirium, it's simple. You just need to find and kill one of the bosses in a map, Omniophobia or Kosis.
Okay.
The rest of the points for each content come from the Pinnacle
It
content.
depends on how
but we're making
common
some
is getting
changes to
them, right? I
accessibility
don't
here too.
remember.
Currently, access to most Pinnacle content requires the same key at the easiest and most difficult version of the content. This creates a negative feeling where at lower difficulties, instead of wanting to run the content, you're often better off just selling it to someone who can run it at maximum difficulty. To address this, each content will now drop splinters, which will not form into singular
What is that
items.
thing? That one thing
Instead
that
of using the singular
looks like a
combined
skull
item
that
in
he
the
has
realm
in
gate,
in there.
you can now just bring your splinters. Upon inserting the splinters into the realm gate, an interface will appear, allowing you to pick your difficulty, and you'll notice each difficulty has a different entry cost. This means if you want to run easier difficulties, it costs less, which also allows you to run this content much sooner into the end.
I like this a lot.
Because these
a
encounters
lot,
now just
a
require
lot.
splinters, their corresponding Atlas tree no longer affects the difficulty of them, and has been changed to purely affect the content and maps on the Atlas.
Love
The
it.
Arbiter of Ash works a bit differently. Instead of requiring splinters, he still needs crisis fragments. We now have only 2 difficulties of the Arbiter. The first, requiring the existing fragments obtained from citadels. The second, Uber Arbiter, requires calamity fragments. These come
Okay,
from citadel
I like
bosses
this,
also,
by the way.
but
I like
only
this.
once you've allocated the maximum number of points in your boss Atlas tree, ensuring those
Shouldn't be that
citadels
hard.
are at their highest difficulty level.
We always
Since
do
we're
it,
talking
so
about Pinnacle
those
content,
won't be
we also felt that the leveling
rare
curve in the late game
at
was a
all,
bit too
or
steep.
shouldn't be.
We've smoothed this out a bit so that it's easier to get to the mid-90s. We've also added some new in-game unique items. Let's
Yes,
take a look at a
endgame
couple.
leveling needed love, dude.
Thunderfist is a pair of gloves that grants Crackling Palm, a skill which empowers your unarmed attacks, granting the ability to call down the storms themselves on enemies you hit. Put
Okay,
simply,
the punches are
literally
getting a
every
lot
monster
of
you
love
hit with
for
your
the
unarmed skills will be
punches. I
struck
love
by
it.
powerful lightning. Pair this with the aforementioned Hollow Palm technique to embrace your true unarmed prowess in combat. Another unique we're adding is Hinekura's Sight. Equip this amulet to
Hinekura
be
looks
granted
like
the
a
power
cool
of the Mother of
character,
Death
dude.
herself.
Will we interact
This is
with her in
reflected by
Act 4?
granting you a
Please,
skill
let me
called
interact with her.
Foresight. While you have Foresight, your dodge roll no longer avoids hits. But instead, being hit while dodge rolling restores you to full life and makes you unable to die for a brief period of time. You'll notice
is
when this does
broken
occur,
as fuck,
a copy
dude.
of your character appears and takes the full damage. This is you seeing that future, as if you hadn't been wearing the amulet. Ultimately,
Broken as
your
fuck.
in-game experience should be more streamlined, with new content to find. You'll be able to invest in your Atlas trees sooner, engage with Pinnacle content faster, have less FOMO running said Pinnacle content, reach higher levels easier, and do all of that while finding many new chase endgame items. Talking about
Love
finding
it.
items is one
Love
thing,
it, Mark.
but
Dude,
what about
you are
crafting?
doing an awesome job, dude.
We've taken a step back
Crafting,
and looked at
okay.
some of our crafting systems to make some notable improvements. Let's start with essences, which suffered from an issue where
They
the regular
said
essences
a long
were
time ago
effectively
that they
useless
were going
and
to
didn't give
rework
players the
essences.
tools or excitement that a crafting system should provide. To alleviate these concerns, essences are being changed in a few ways. Firstly, they're being changed to function like regals and add specific modifiers with specific values, meaning you
Okay,
know
it
exactly
upgrades
what you're
to a
going to
red
get.
item. Okay.
We found that players were often bottlenecked by regal orbs when crafting in the campaign, so this helps to fill that gap, allowing you to better upgrade your items. For example, this Lesser Essence of Flames, which will be able to add a flat amount of fire damage to your magic martial weapons. Secondly, we're adding many more tiers. That Lesser Essence of Flames, for example, has a regular variant and a greater variant too, adding even more fire damage with each upgrade. The intention of this is so that when you find one early on, you don't worry about holding onto it till later to use on a higher level item. You should feel free to use them as they come to get powerful upgrades during the campaign. Lastly, our highest tier of essences, now called Perfect Essences, will function like a Chaos Orb instead of a Regal. So
It looks
will
really
replace
cool.
one of the
Gain
modifiers on your rare
25 to
items
33 of
with the
damage as
specified
extra
mod.
fire.
Such
Okay,
as
those
this
are going to be
perfect essence of
expensive as
flames.
fuck, probably.
You'll notice
And
this one
maybe it
doesn't
will
just
make
add
it
flat
worth
fire
to
damage like the ones
farm
before it.
essences to sell.
The perfect essences often give something a bit different, with some opportunities to be pretty damn powerful.
It looks
There
cool.
are many different essences, each with many tiers, covering many of the more core modifiers you'd want on items early on, through to chase specialized ones for endgame. Speaking of endgame, we really wanted to expand our crafting options for late endgame crafting projects. You might have noticed that at endgame, you get way too many transmutes.
Yes,
Wouldn't it
I
be
do.
nice if some of those didn't drop, but instead you got something a little more powerful? At higher levels, you can now find Greater Orb of Transmutation and Perfect
Okay.
Orb of Transmutation. These can be used on normal items to upgrade them to magic, ensuring that the modifier
Tier
generated
2?
is of a minimum
Okay,
level.
at least tier 2.
This
Okay.
is similar to how you find higher tier items on the ground, but for crafting. These higher tiers will also exist for Orb of Augmentation, Regal Orb,
We
Exalted
wanted
Orb,
more crafting. This is
and
more
Chaos Orb,
crafting.
meaning you can get
Lots
all
of
the orbs required
currencies,
to take your item
maybe
from
too
normal
many
rarity to a
currencies.
fully completed rare with guaranteed high tier mods.
But hey, it is more
On
crafting
top
too.
of these new
We
core
wanted more crafting,
currencies,
right?
We wanted to make sure there are powerful crafting bases to use them on. Now in endgame, you can start to find exceptional items. These are items that drop at normal rarity and are perfect for your from-scratch crafting projects. They can come with extra
So those
quality,
are bases
up to
that you can
30%,
sell or buy
an
to
additional
craft.
socket to use your crafting socket
So
rules in.
white items,
And yes,
exceptional
they
white
can be
items are
corrupted
going to
for
be
getting another
valuable.
socket.
Okay, okay.
You can also get exceptional unique items. To add
Exceptional
even further to
unique
your crafting
items are going to
arsenal,
also be
we've
probably
added a whole
expensive
suite of new
depending on the
omens to
unique.
ritual content, and removed some of
Okay.
the more unimpactful ones that weren't being used.
Okay.
Some of the new omens include
New omens
the
and
Omen
removed
of the
omens, okay.
Ancients, which will cause your next orb of chance to not destroy the item, but generate a random unique of the same class. Or the Omen of Sanctification, which is my new
So
favorite.
like an ancient orb.
This will cause your next divine
It
orb used on a
transforms
rare
the
item to
chance
reroll
orb
the values
into
of
an
its
ancient
modifiers,
orb from POE1.
allowing it to exceed the normal minimum and maximum values, raising the ceiling on the new most powerful rare items in the game. This Omen will also cause your item to become sanctified.
This will create the most
Sanctified items
expensive
cannot be
rares in the
crafted,
game, dude.
just like corrupted ones, so consider carefully when you use this. Another is the Omen of Chaotic Monsters.
Can you
which will cause your
sanctify
next
a
Chaos Orb
corrupted
to
item?
reroll
Or
all
if it is
modifiers on a
corrupted, it
waystone,
can't be
allowing you
sanctified.
to fix your maps if you get some modifiers that are not feasible for your build.
Okay, okay.
Besides these
Love
examples,
it.
there is a huge variety of new omens for you to discover in your ritual encounters. With
I
the
like the
release of Act
direction of
4,
this.
notably taking place in the Kardori archipelago, you'll be able to now find a new currency
Nekora's
item,
log is really
Hene Kora's
expensive in
Log.
POE1.
Hene Kora, the Kardori goddess of death, has the power of foresight and is able to see many futures, including the outcome of
It
your
looks
next
cool, dude.
craft. So, imbuing her lock onto an item gives you that same power too. For example, you'll know whether or not to use an Exalted Orb on your item, as you will know exactly what the outcome is. So, with all these new crafting improvements,
That
it's
is
safe to say you're going to
powerful
be
as
making
fuck.
some epic items, and
Yep,
not
yep, yep.
necessarily just ones for yourself. So given that, it's
Belton
time
is
to
going
talk
to
about a
have the
massive
time
one.
of his life,
Prey.
dude. These mirror
It's
crafters,
finally
like
here.
the farmer
The
and
moment
Belton,
we've
they are going
all
to have
been
the
waiting
time
for.
of their lives.
Fully asynchronous trade.
The best thing
Over
about
the
this
years,
shit,
the way players
you
trade
could
with each
have
other
just
in Path of
given me
Exile 1
this,
has
the
morphed from
trading,
using
and
the
I would be
forums
happy.
through to the endgame
The
chat,
best thing ever, dude.
all the way through to using
Number
the
one
website.
thing I wanted added
These
to the
systems,
game.
in all
I
their
didn't think they
iterations,
were
worked
going
for a
to add
while,
it so
but with each
soon.
iteration, new problems
But I
eventually
am
revealed
happy.
themselves. Be it requiring you to be
This
in your
is
hideout
awesome,
too much
brother.
instead of out there killing monsters, or never getting responses from people who are either AFK or just can't be bothered. In order to finally solve this, and this has been a long time coming, we're adding a new system that allows you to buy items from other players without requiring the seller to be present. They can continue
Awesome,
farming, killing monsters, AFK as they please, and can even be offline.
Brother,
the
you
introduction
farm a
of
lot,
King's
you
March in
put
Act
it in
4,
your
you will
tab, you go
encounter
to sleep,
Ange,
you wake up the
assistant
next
to
day,
Vogue
you
in the
have a lot
Meridian
of
Free
currency
Traders
because you
Company.
sold your items.
Over
Awesome,
the last
I
2
love
decades
it.
or so, since Path of Exile 1's storyline, Faustus has handed down his knowledge and expertise to Ange, and she is now ready to take over his business. If you have a hideout unlocked already,
Okay, she's the
you can
new Alba.
immediately invite her there.
Maybe she was
If you
always
don't have a
intended to
hideout
be
yet,
Alba, but we
you
didn't
will need to
have
acquire
Act
one.
4.
You can do this by completing a quest to defeat one of the bosses inhabiting an island in Act 4, allowing you then to take a slice of it for yourself, making it your new home and base of operations. Once invited to your hideout,
This is a cool
she will
hideout,
now
by the way.
serve
I
as
will
operating
probably
your
use
currency
it. I love the
exchange,
beach.
but also serve as the figurehead in your new trading empire. So, how does this new system work? In the existing trade system, you would list items for sale in premium stash tabs. And then when someone wanted one, you'd have to take it out for yourself and trade it to them. Now, instead of using those, you can give your items to Ange so she can sell them for you. Each item must have a price set. The prices are set
Awesome.
using
I love
in-game
it.
currency items, such as Exalted Orbs or Chaos Orbs.
I hope there is a way to get the
Once a
tab
price is
to
set,
get the
other
full
players will be
price,
able to
so
find
you
the
don't
item by
have to
searching for it on the trade
manually
website.
price it each time.
Once a desired item has been found, you can hit a button, which will instantly teleport your character in-game to their
Instant
hideout.
TP is insane.
Then, you can immediately purchase the item. And while there, if you want, browse their
It
other
requires
goods,
gold. Look at
in
that.
case
It
there's a good
requires
deal
gold.
someone else hasn't yet discovered. You'll
Okay.
notice that as a buyer, on top of the currency the seller set for the price, it also costs gold to purchase an item, as Ange has bills to pay after all. As a seller, you'll immediately receive a notification when an item of yours is sold, and can also see an effect above Ange in your hideout when she has unclaimed currency.
Love it.
Just go talk to her, claim your currency, and continue playing at your leisure.
Love it, love it, love it.
As many people already acquired premium stash tabs for the purpose of the trade system, we wanted to add a way for you to convert your existing tabs to merchants tabs, if you want. You can do that here, on the website, but only if you purchase those tabs before the release of the Third Edict.
I
To
did it,
clarify,
I did
the
it.
existing trade system will remain fully intact, so your premium stash tabs will not lose any of their functionality.
I will
we just
probably
figured
save
people
some
might want to switch over
because
to this new
POE1 doesn't have this
We
yet.
expect a lot of feedback around this new system and are looking
I will
forward to trying
probably
it out
give
with
you a lot.
As we are not able to test internally with an entire, thriving economy, there will certainly be some kinks to work out. Based on how the system goes, we will be adding it to Path of Exile 1 when ready, so any of the tabs you purchase will also be usable there later. Next
We
up,
don't know
we're
when
going
later
to be
is, that
talking
is the
about our
problem.
new supporter packs.
But hey,
Today,
cool, I love
we're
it.
launching 2 new series of supporter packs.
Okay, supporter
The
packs.
Justice
Okay,
and
okay.
Trust
I
and
am
Executioner
support for
packs.
supporter packs. But
Each tier
if there is
contains
a
the pack's
company
full
that
face value in
deserves the
points,
support,
alongside several
it
exclusive
is
microtransactions.
GG, brother.
As always,
They are
the
doing a
microtransactions in
lot
these
for
packs are
not
purely
much.
cosmetic
You
and
compare
do not
this
affect your
bullshit to
character's
Diablo
power
4
or
and
progression in
only
any
this
way.
patch is more than
The
everything
Justice
that
series of
Diablo 4
supporter
has done in 2
contains
years,
6 exclusive
including the base
microtransactions.
box price plus
Claim
the
glory
price
after
of
defeating
the
enemies,
fucking
or
expansion.
inspire your allies
So
by
if
calling
there is
down
a
the Banner
company
of
that
Justice
deserves the
portal.
support, it's GG,
The
brother.
Sphinx Mystic hideout decoration
When
will
I am a
identify
big
items for you,
streamer and big
displaying
YouTuber,
them as it
I
does
will
so.
of course support
This
this
ancient creature
bullshit
has
too,
been presented
because
with
they
many
deserve
items
it.
over
It
the
is an
eons,
awesome
so
game.
has some
I am
strong
in love.
expressions to
And
make
this
on the
patch,
quality of your wares.
like yes, I am
Become a true
unhappy
warrior,
because of
worthy of
no
delivering
druid,
the
no
justice of
new
the eternal
class,
gods,
no
with the Apostle
ascendancies,
of
no new
Justice armor
ascendancies, but if you consider
This armor set
what
also
we
comes
are
with a matching
getting,
back attachment
dude, it is a
containing a set
big
of scales to measure your
fucking
worth.
patch. It is a
With the
lot of
Apostle of
work
Justice
in
finisher
here, dude.
effective
Like they did a lot, brother. They did a lot. I think this patch is going to be really fun, really awesome. Will we find problems? Yes, we will find problems. We will complain about this. We will complain about that. But this looks like it is going to be really fucking cool, really awesome, and I am loving it. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless ya. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.